I just wanna go. I just wanna fly. I just wanna give you all the voices till you die. I just wanna give you all the shoulders when you cry. Hello. Hi. My name is Hannah. Welcome to this video. If you're new here, if you happen to just stumble across this video and you recommended because you're watching every single BTS video that's in your recommended, hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome to my channel. I mostly make videos about books, but I also like to make videos about whatever else I'm interested in, and one of my main interests in life is BTS. I love BTS. They are my heart and soul. They mean everything to me. They are my favorite artists, they make my favorite music, and I love talking about them. So almost 2 years ago now, it's literally almost been 2 years, which is ridiculous, but I made a video about BTS and like how I got into them and why they mean so much to me. And I got such a great response from that video because people were just so nice, and it was just so nice to be able to talk about this thing that I love with so many other people who also love it. So ever since then, I've gotten so many requests to make more BTS related content, and I've always wanted to make more BTS related content. I've just always felt like I'm not allowed to. But in 2021, we're not doing any of that anymore. I'm making whatever content I want to make, and today I really want to tier rank BTS's albums. So that's what we're doing. As you can see, I've created an entire setup behind myself. I've put out a bunch of my albums. This isn't all of them because I have too many, but I set out a bunch of them. And yeah, we're just gonna go through their entire discography and tier rank them. Quickly, before we even get into the ranking, I do want to answer a couple of questions that I know I'm gonna get like 100 times in the comments, which is, who is my bias? My bias is Jungkook. And who is my bias wrecker? And the answer to that is I don't have a bias wrecker. It cycles through all of them depending on the day, depending on who just tweeted or what meme I just recently saw. So yeah, we're OT7 here. My bias is Jungkook, but I do love all of them equally because how could you not? Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into my ranking. All right, so here is my tier list, but before we get into the actual ranking, I just quickly want to explain how I'm going to be doing this and which albums I chose. So I decided to use their entire Korean discography, but I didn't include their Japanese albums. And that's because despite the fact that some of their Japanese songs are actually my favorite BTS songs ever, their Japanese albums are typically just a couple of new songs and then just the Japanese versions of the Korean songs. So they're just very repetitive. It's pretty much the same songs over and over again. So that's the reason I didn't include Japanese albums. But don't think that I don't like them or don't listen to them, because I do listen to them. I listen to a lot of their Japanese songs, sometimes more than some of the Korean songs. But I did decide to include their mixtapes because I consider their mixtapes basically part of their discography because their mixtapes are so good. It's like criminal that they're not like real physical albums that you can buy, because I would buy all of them. I love them all so much. Anyway, that's just to clarify which albums I chose. The second thing I want to go over are the tiers that I made. So first and foremost, BTS doesn't have a single bad album. Let's just get that straight. Every single album is at least good. It's at least good. I'd argue that they're all pretty great, but they're at least good. So my bottom tier is literally good tier. I couldn't make it any other way. I'm sorry. I'm not here to trash any of these albums. I love all of them, genuinely. So yeah, my bottom tier is good tier. So if I'm putting anything at the bottom, please don't think I don't like it. I love every single album. I just love other ones more than some of them, which is natural. So anyway, our bottom tier is good tier. Then we have a really good tier, great tier, heavenly, perfection, cured my depression, which could basically be any of the albums, but still it's its own tier, and God tier. So yeah, those are my tiers. And yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the ranking. I'm so excited. All right, so first up we have their debut album, which is Too Cool for School. And this one I'm easily gonna put into good tier. Of all of BTS's albums, I think their debut album is probably my least favorite. I still love it. I still listen to No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof Part 2 all the time, and every time they perform it, I get so excited because they're great songs. It's just, of everything, these aren't my absolute favorites, but it's still obviously very good. Again, I'm not going to keep explaining this. We know that my bottom tier is still good tier. Nothing here is bad. But yeah, that one's a pretty easy one for me to put in good. Once we get to some of the other ones, it's going to get so hard for me because I'm going to want to put everything in God tier, and I can't do that. All right, next up we have Oh Are You Late Too? And for me, where do I put this? This is the struggle. I love Oh Are You Late Too? Of their early albums, of like the early 4 albums, I feel like it's probably my favorite one. And for now, I think I want to put it in great tier. That feels like right? Because like this album has so many good songs. We have No, which is an incredible title track. We have Coffee. We have We On, which I feel like is a criminally underrated BTS song. I love We On. I listen to it all the time. It's so good. And just so many other good songs on this album. I absolutely love it. So I feel like I would put this in great tier. For now, depending on where I put everything else, we'll see, it could move around, but I feel like for now it can stay in great tier. Because of their earlier albums, I feel like I definitely listen to the songs on this one the most. Okay, never mind. I just lied because now we have School Love Affair. School Love Affair I'm definitely gonna have to put into great, and this is because this is actually the one that I listened to the most of their early albums. This album has Just One Day, Tomorrow, and Spinebreaker, and Spinebreaker is one of my favorite BTS songs, so like, it's gotta go in great. I don't know if I want to move Oh Are You Late 2 down to really good, but for now, I think I'm just gonna keep it in great. Again, it depends on where I end up putting everything else, but yeah, I'm gonna actually put School Love Affair before Oh Are You Late 2. I don't know if I'm gonna rank everything else like that, if like the ranking in the tier will be the order in which I like it, but at least between these two, they're pretty equal to me, but I like School Love Affair just a little bit more. School Love Affair also has Cypher Part 2 and Jump. So like, it's so good. Okay, anyway, moving on. Next we have Dark and Wild. And again, this has so many songs that I do really love, but I don't listen to it as much as I listen to some of the later albums. So I think I'm gonna put Dark and Wild in really good. It does have Cypher Part 3, which is a top tier cypher. It's my second favorite of the cyphers, but still this one is a little bit lower than School Love Affair and Oh Are You Late 2 for me. Okay, so now we move on to the section of this that is like nearly impossible for me to rank, but I feel like I've given this a lot of thought and I have an idea of how I want to rank this. So we have The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 1, Part 2, and Young Forever, which is arguably, we'll see once we figure out what's in my actual God tier, my favorite series of BTS albums. We'll see if that's true, but they're definitely up there. So I think I'm actually gonna put Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1 into perfection. It could also go in Cured My Depression, but I feel like there are other things that are slightly above that. The Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1 has I Need You, it has Dope, Hold Me Tight, Converse High. Like, it's just such a good album, so many classics, but then we got Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 2, and this is going to be my first God tier BTS album because I love this album. I would die for this album. There's not a single skip on this album. To be fair, I wouldn't skip any of the songs on any of their albums, but like I will listen to this on loop over and over and over again, and I will not skip anything because I love every song on this album that much. It's so good. Truly, this album has like so many of my top tier BTS songs on it. Like from the intro alone, it's so good. Nevermind is probably my favorite BTS intro that we've ever had. Question mark, I don't want to say that for sure because I also love Persona a lot, but I love Nevermind. It's such a good intro. Then we have Butterfly, we have House of Cards, we have Bepse, which like God tier BTS song. Are we kidding? Oh my god, every song on this album is so good. It's so good. You cannot tell me that this is not one of their best albums. It hands down is. I can't even remember what songs I've already mentioned, but Run and Whaley 52 and Butterfly, like all of them are so good and they're like all my favorite BTS songs. So this has to go in God tier. Arguably, again, we will see, might like this album the best, like it might be my actual favorite BTS album if I could actually decide on one, but I don't think I can actually just decide on one because they have one, way too many good albums and two, way too many albums. Nonetheless, it is a God tier album for me. So yeah, we have my first God tier BTS album. Hopefully I don't put like the rest of them all in there because I easily could. All right, next up we have Young Forever, which is basically the compilation of Part 1 and Part 2 of Most Beautiful Moment in Life. Plus we have Fire, and then what else is on this album? Save Me, which is one of my all-time favorite BTS songs, and then the like million remixes of Run and I Need You and Butterfly. So this album I'm actually going to put in Cured My Depression because I could also put this in God tier, don't get me wrong, I love it that much, but I do like it a little bit less than The Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1. One, because the end of the album is literally just a bunch of different remixes. One of the reasons I like Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 2 so much is I feel like the flow of the album is absolutely perfect from start to finish. Like it flows so well, and actually when you combine Part 1 and Part 2 it does flow really well too. It's just like when you have all those like extra songs added on to the end, I feel like it kind of takes away from the flow of it a little bit, so I wouldn't consider it like the perfect album the way that I do with Part 2. It is one of my top BTS albums, so it has to go in Cured My Depression because again, it's just like one of my favorites, and the combination of these two is just perfection. Like I said, this series is hands down one of my favorites, so yeah, that's where I'm gonna put that one for now. That feels right. I'm also trying my best to not put everything in God tier because I would put everything in God tier if I could. I mean, I can. This is my ranking, but these are the rules I've made for myself. Okay, next up we have Wings. And again, the entire rest of this video is gonna be me not knowing how to make a decision to save my life, because they're all so good. I don't know how to rank them. I really dug myself into a hole when I decided to do this video. But we have Wings. 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 Wings is, I want to say, unmatched, but like it isn't, because they have so many other good albums too that like it's so hard to tell. But Wings feels like revolutionary. It feels like it changed a genre, if that makes sense. At least that's how I feel about it, because Blood, Sweat and Tears, let's be honest, is the greatest BTS music video of all time. There isn't a better BTS music video. It's so good, it's so beautiful, and I don't know if there's a way to top that video, because it's just pure art. It's so good. But we're not ranking the videos, we're just ranking the albums. And I do truly, truly love this album. I think I want to put this, where do I put this? I think I want to put this in perfection. I feel like that feels fair. The reason that this isn't higher up for me is because the majority of this album is solo songs, and I love their solo songs obviously, but I prefer their albums when they have more group songs, because I love them as a group so much. But I still love all the solo songs, obviously. I listen to all of them all the time. And this album has some of my absolute top favorite BTS songs of all time on it. Like it has 2-3 and Reflection and Cypher Part 4, which I just constantly have on repeat. So yeah, I absolutely love all of those songs. But again, like I said, I prefer when the albums are mostly their group songs compared to when the albums are mostly solo songs. So that's the reason this album's a little bit lower for me than some of the other ones, despite how iconic and perfect Wings is. Every time I don't put something in God tier, I'm like, but I love you so much, and I feel like I'm being mean to it, but the tier is literally called perfection. So I don't know. Okay, I'm putting too much pressure on myself. It's not that deep. Anyway, moving along, then we have You Never Walk Alone. And this one easily for me goes in Cured My Depression, because I could put this in God tier, but if I'm being objective, it is not a God tier album for me, because there are some albums as a whole that I like more. But this album has Spring Day on it, which to this day is still my favorite BTS song. I don't care if you call me basic, that song is so good. That song will forever be so good. It's so good. It makes me cry all the time. Basically, the first time I listened to it, it became my favorite BTS song, and it's still my favorite BTS song. I don't know if they can release anything that I will love more. Things have come close, but nothing has beat Spring Day for me. So that's why I have to put this album there, because again, I do think it's slightly above Wings for me because it has Not Today and Spring Day added to it. Plus, I just loved the whole You Never Walk Alone concept. So yeah, that one easily goes in Cured My Depression, because low-key it did. Okay, next up we move on to the Love Yourself series, which obviously I deeply love. So first up we have Love Yourself Her, which this one I'm easily gonna put into Heavenly. And that's because this is my least favorite of the Love Yourself series. I just like the title track the least. I liked most of the songs less than I liked a lot of the other songs on the other two albums in this series, but I do like it more than like School Love Affair and Oh Are You Late Too, but less than the ones that are in the tiers above. This album does have Pied Piper on it though, which is one of my favorite BTS songs, but still we're gonna put it in the Heavenly category because I do like it a bit less than those top albums. Next we have Love Yourself Tier. And I feel like it would just be wrong if I don't put this in God tier. Love Yourself Tier is such a good fucking album. Fake Love, Truth Untold, Paradise, Magic Shop, Outro Tier, Airplane Part 2, Intro Singularity. Like everything about this album is so good. It's so good and I love it. Tier is hands down, in my opinion, objectively one of BTS's best albums. It's just some of their best work. It's just so good, like just purely so good. I don't know what else to say. I feel like there isn't a single ARMY I know who doesn't absolutely love Tier. It's just perfect from start to finish. It flows so well. The themes present in the whole album and the flow of the whole album work perfectly together. It's just so well crafted and I love it. I love Tier. I feel like if someone's not into BTS and like you want to get them into BTS, play them Love Yourself Tier. Cause like I feel like there's no way you couldn't get into BTS after hearing that album. It's just too good. Anyway, I could go on forever, but that's what I have to say about Love Yourself Tier. So many good songs, such a perfect album, has to be God tier for me. Then moving on, we have Love Yourself Answer. And this is the combination, obviously, of Her and Tear. And for me, this one easily goes in Cured My Depression. It could be God Tier as well, but it's just not as close to those two albums that I have in God Tier right now. Because if you haven't noticed, the flow of an album like really, really matters to me for me to call it like a perfect album. And that's why most of my God Tier albums like have that theme. But Love Yourself Answer has to go in Cured My Depression because this album literally cured my depression. Obviously, I am joking, but low-key, I'm not, because honestly, this album helped me through so much. If you did not cry the first time you listened to Epiphany, if Epiphany didn't make you actually want to start loving yourself, if Answer Love Myself didn't actually make you start to love yourself, then you haven't listened to those songs yet. I don't know what else to tell you, because with this album, BTS literally yelled at me to love myself, and it worked. Also, this album has Euphoria on it, which is like easily top 10 BTS songs for me, so yeah. I honestly made this tier specifically for Love Yourself Answer because I couldn't think of a better description for this album. Like, this album truly, I feel like, can cure your depression. Like, that's the point of it. It's like a medicine. It's like, here, take this and you'll at least be happy while you're listening to these songs. That's kind of true for their entire discography, but specifically this album, they were like, here, you need to love yourself, you need to face your issues, and we're gonna help you through that. And they did. They absolutely helped me through it with this album. So yeah, definitely goes in that tier for me. Next we have Persona. And like, I don't know what to do with Persona because like, here's the thing. Everything about Persona flows perfectly. Every song is immaculate. Not a single skip. Like, every single song on this album is so good. Also, it's the album that came out when I first got into BTS, so I have like a lot of like nostalgic feelings towards it. But my thing is, I don't think I love it as much as I love my other God Tier albums, so I don't know what to do with this. Part of me wants to put it in Perfection because I feel like that perfectly describes how I feel about it, and it feels comparable to Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1 and Wings for me. Like, I think that's how good it is. The reason I wouldn't put it in God Tier is because it just doesn't make me feel the way that the God Tier albums make me feel. But I could also put it in Cured My Depression. Since this is the album that came out right when I got into BTS, this is what I was listening to, and I was like, wow, these lyrics, wow, these 7 boys make me feel happy for once. I think I'm actually gonna go, I could move this. I could move this around depending on where I put a couple of the other ones. I'm gonna put it in Perfection for now, because I feel like it just purely is Perfection. I feel like the Perfection tier is essentially under the God tier, and the Cured My Depression tier is mostly just my feelings about it that make it like a little bit above Perfection. Yeah, for now I think I'm gonna put Map of the Soul Persona in Perfection, because I do truly really love that album. Like, Microcosmos is one of my favorite BTS songs as well, and Dionysus, God tier song. Like, it's just such a good album, but for me personally, I think Perfection is fair. I think that's fair. Okay, next we have Map of the Soul 7. Okay, I don't know what to do with this, because the thing is, Map of the Soul 7, I mean, every BTS album has like God tier songs on it, but Map of the Soul 7 has Black Swan on it, which, you can fight me on this, even if it's not my favorite BTS song, is arguably like top 5 best BTS songs. That song is pure art. It is so good, and it does not get the appreciation that it deserves. Black Swan is such a good song. It's such a good song. And I know that's not the entire album, but like, it moves the album up a lot for me, even though I love like every single song on this album. My favorites from this album are definitely Black Swan, Interlude Shadow, My Time, and 0 O'Clock. I think those are my favorites for sure. I think I'm leaning towards Perfection as well. I feel like it's really on par with how I feel about Persona. Again, so much of this depends on my mood and depends on like what I feel like listening to, especially with those top 3 tiers. I feel like they're a little bit interchangeable. There's like wiggle room because it just depends on how much I'm listening to a certain album. And next up we have B. And I have to do what needs to be done, and B has to go in God tier because this album is so good. It's so good. I feel like I'm just constantly repeating myself, but B is perfect. B is literally perfect. When they announced B, I had really high expectations. When they said they like basically self-produced this album, I was like, I'm going to love this. Like, this is going to kill me. So my expectations were through the roof. And then when this album came out, they were blown out of the water. Like, I can't tell you how much I love B, how many times I've had it on loop. It's so good. I truly believe it is one of their best albums. Obviously, I put it in my God tier, but even like objectively, I think it's one of their best albums. It's so good. It is so good. Blue and Gray makes me cry every single time I listen to it. That was the one song where I was like, this might come for Spring Day. It hasn't, because I still love Spring Day so much, but I love Blue and Gray. Telepathy, such a bop. Like, you can't not feel happy when you listen to that song. It's so good. Disease is a masterpiece, truly a masterpiece. Every single song on this album is so good. It has to be God tier for me. I absolutely love it. This deserves a Grammy. It won't get one, but it deserves a Grammy. Anyway, again, I could talk forever about B. I could talk forever about any of these albums, but it has to be God tier for me. Easily God tier for me. Okay, next up, finally, we have moved on into the mixtapes. So we have 4 mixtapes, 2 of Yoongi's mixtapes, Namjoon's mixtape, and then Hobi's mixtape. First up, we have August D. I'm gonna put this, honestly, I don't listen to this as much as I used to, or as much as some of the other mixtapes or their other albums. I do listen to like individual songs, but not the whole mixtape. I think I'm gonna put this in Heavenly. I feel like, actually, I'm gonna put this in Great. Yeah, I feel like that's fair. I'm gonna put this in Great because I do really like this, but I feel like in my mind it's pretty equivalent to how much I listen to School Love Affair and Oh Are You Late Too is about how much I listen to August D. And that's kind of how I'm ranking this based on how frequently I listen to them. But yeah, like I said, there are some songs on here that I definitely do listen to a lot more than others, but I never tend to play the entire mixtape from start to finish that often. But then we have Mono. And here's the thing. I love Mono with my whole heart and soul. Oh my god. I love Mono so much. There's no way I can't put this in God tier. Every time I'm sad, I listen to Mono on repeat, like over and over and over again. I wish I could own a physical copy of it. What do I need it for? I don't know, but it just feels like I want it in my presence. I love Mono with my whole heart and soul. Everything Goes is probably like right below Spring Day for me. I listen to that song so much, literally so much. I listen to every song on this album all the time because I love Mono. Mono's a perfect album. It feels like a hug. It truly just feels like a hug. It feels like being understood. It's just too good. Truly too good. I honestly don't know what else to say about Mono. There's no way I couldn't put this in God tier. If I were to just pick one album that I listen to the most, it's honestly Mono. Like, I know it's not a BTS album and it's literally just Namjoon's mixtape. That's how much I like it, because it's just perfect. It's truly so perfect. Anyway, hands down, one of my favorite albums of all time in existence. I want him to release another mixtape so bad. Also, while we're speaking of mixtapes, I have this feeling that like the second I finish filming this video and edit it and upload it, either Taehyung or Jungkook is gonna release their mixtape, and then I'm just gonna have to sit here and deal with that, which I don't think is gonna happen because like I feel like they're never gonna release them because I don't want to get my hopes up, but I feel like if they were to, it'll be the second I finish filming this video because that's just my luck. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have Hope World, Hobi's mixtape, which I love. It feels like pure happiness. This one easily goes into Heavenly for me because I feel like I listen to this about as much as I listen to Love Yourself Her, and I feel pretty similarly about it. I really, really do love it. It's so good. It just feels like J-Hope. Like, it feels like him. It's so perfect. And it's really fun to listen to. And then lastly, we have none other than August D2. Here's the thing. I want to put this in God tier. I really want to put this in God tier because it's a perfect album. No joke. No arguments. Like, you literally cannot argue that this is not a perfect album. It's so good. It is truly so good. But like, do I want to put 5 albums in God tier? I don't know. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. It's God tier, okay? It's a God tier album. I can't say anything else about it. Like, you can't pretend like it's not. It's too good. It's truly, truly too good. People, Burn It, Dechwita, like literally every single song on this album is so good, and I had this on loop non-stop when it first came out because I couldn't stop listening to it because the flow of this is immaculate, truly immaculate. And Yoongi is like the best producer, and I need him to produce other people's music because I'm so tired of people's like bad music, and I just want him to produce everything so that I can listen to everything. Anyway, that's why it has to be in God tier. But finally, we are finished. This is my final ranking for all of BTS's discography, their Korean Korean discography plus their mixtapes. And I feel pretty solid about this, honestly. Like I said, things can change around depending on how much I'm listening to something or how I'm feeling or what my mood is in general. But generally speaking, those are my god tier albums. Those are the ones I listen to the most. Those are my favorites for sure. But I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. This was truly so much fun for me to film. I love talking about BTS. I could talk about them forever. But if you want to see any more BTS related content, do definitely let me know that as well. What would you like to see? What would you like me to make videos about? I am also planning on ranking their music videos, so you might see that in the future. Maybe. Don't quote me. If you don't listen to BTS and you happen to watch this entire video, thank you, first of all. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you also decide to check out some of their music, because I truly do think that they are absolutely incredible. They make some of the best music in the music industry right now, and I think they're worth giving a chance. I know that like the fandom and like all the hype around them seems like intense and super big, and it is, but their music truly speaks for itself, and it's worth listening to. So I highly recommend checking them out. They're truly my favorite artists. They make me so happy. And yeah, I just love BTS. I really love BTS. But if you want to talk some more about BTS with me in the comments down below, feel free to do so. Let me know how you would rank any of their albums. What are your like top 3 albums? I know it's so hard to pick. I ended up with 5, but let me know what your top 3 BTS albums are. I'm curious to know how you all would rank their albums as well. Like I said, they don't have any bad music. Clearly, I love all of their music, but there are those top few albums that are just so unbelievably good. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social media, all my links are in the description box as always. But thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!